If your work stopped tomorrow, how long would your wealth defend you? For most men, the answer trembles somewhere between weeks and months. For the sovereign few, it stretches beyond a lifetime. They built not income but architecture. They understood that fortune does not favor the man who works the hardest, but the one who secures his position before the battle begins. Machiavelli wrote that the wise prince does not wait for war. He positions. And in this world, wealth is war disguised as commerce. The rich do not chase hours. They construct structures. They carve permanence into a fleeting world. They create once and collect forever. This is not fantasy. It is quiet warfare. Power that outlives its wielder. The art of protected creation. In Renaissance Venice, brilliance was currency. The Republic flourished by granting inventors exclusive rights to their designs, purchasing loyalty from those who might have fled to rivals. They understood a secret most empires forget. Genius must be protected if it is to remain yours. From that foresight came prosperity that endured centuries. Centuries later, a man named James Dyson carried that same instinct. Frustrated by mediocrity, he built over 5,000 prototypes until his machine never lost suction. But his empire wasn't built on metal and plastic. It was built on ownership. Patents, invisible shields, turned his invention into an untouchable fortress. Others copied the shape, the color, the sound, yet still paid tribute, not for the vacuum, but for the right to compete. Machiavelli would have smiled. The victory of the mind over muscle. To master the battlefield without raising a sword. To own the weapon everyone else must wield. But not every kingdom is forged from steel. Some are born from sound. In 1994, Mariah Carey recorded a Christmas song that has since become an annual currency. Each December, the world unknowingly crowns her anew. Radio stations, malls, commercials, all paying tribute to a melody. She created once, and the echo became an economy. That is not luck. That is design. She understood what most creators forget. Culture repeats itself, and repetition is rent. Where others see nostalgia, she built a royalty. Every time that song plays, her fortress breathes again. But not everyone can craft a masterpiece or design a machine. That was the old world. Today, the battlefield has changed. The Renaissance needed artisans and lords. We have algorithms and leverage. Factories are obsolete. Gatekeepers irrelevant. Now a single PDF, a course, a template can echo through the digital void and print gold without a single new stroke of labor. Russell Brunson understood this. No publisher, no warehouse, just an idea in motion. A downloadable book that multiplied in silence. Years pass. The current still flows. That is ownership. That is sovereignty. The New Age fortress. Invisible, borderless, tireless. And sometimes power hides not in invention, but in words. 5 words to be precise. Let's get ready to rumble. A phrase worth $400 million. Michael Buffer trademarked his voice, and in doing so, built a royalty empire from mere sound. No factories. No inventory. Just law and recognition. Every arena that echoes his call pays tribute to him. He does not fight. He does not even speak. The law speaks for him. His words became a weapon. A banner raised over every stadium, a toll gate in the battlefield of attention. Unlike soldiers, words do not age. Reputation, once codified in law, becomes immortal. And there are men who go beyond words. They license entire worlds. George Lucas did not merely direct films. He forged an empire. While Star Wars reigned at the box office, the true wealth came from the toys, the games, the merchandise. He did not manufacture the figures himself. He licensed them, allowing others to labor while he ruled. Machiavelli would recognize this as the highest form of governance, the prince who commands not by presence but by tribute. To own the realm, even as others walk through it. The same truth guided Ray Kroc. He did not invent the burger. He built the machine. McDonald's became a system, a legion of operators replicating his model, each franchise paying for the right to carry his name. He did not flip burgers. He orchestrated economies, and more than that, he owned the ground. Franchisees ran the kitchens, but the soil beneath their feet belonged to him. They paid rent, and the money flowed upward like feudal tax. Ownership of land, the oldest form of tribute, endures through every age. The Medici of Florence rose not merely through banking, but by claiming the ground others stood on. To own land is to command those who must walk upon it. The fortress may change shape, but the foundation remains. He who owns the ground earns from all who pass through. Yet some rulers build not with stone but with paper. Warren Buffett's fortune is not a monument to effort but to patience. Decades ago he bought shares in Coca-Cola and never sold. Today those dividends flow without demand. Not because he labors but because others do. Factories hum, workers sweat, trucks move, and he reaps. Machiavelli warned rulers against reliance on mercenaries. In wealth, ownership replaces armies. You do not fight. You own the battlefield. Clean wealth. Lazy wealth. Designed wealth. And then there are those who take bold positions when others hesitate. Peter Thiel placed $500,000 into a fledgling Facebook and became a billionaire. Naval Ravikant backed Twitter Uber. His fortune multiplied in silence. Even Shaquille O'Neal, once a soldier of sport, became a general of equity. These men did not labor. They positioned. They understood that fortune, like a woman, rewards the bold. Private equity is that boldness in motion, not chaos but conquest. And perhaps the most overlooked weapon of all, the network. Machiavelli knew no prince stands alone. Alliances are lifelines. In the modern world, that truth lives in referrals. Introduce two people, creator and platform, seller and buyer, and you become the gatekeeper. You build nothing. You ship nothing. Yet you own the bridge. And bridges are toll roads. The man who connects becomes indispensable. From Venetian spice brokers to affiliate marketers, the pattern is the same. Others move the goods. You own the route. The pattern becomes clear. The wealthy do not win by working harder. They win by shifting from laborer to architect, from foot soldier to fortress builder. They craft systems, own rights, plant flags. Each asset, patent, franchise, song, land, share, becomes a wall in their citadel, and that fortress pays them in perpetuity. This architecture of wealth is not born of luck, but of foresight. Machiavelli insisted the wise must rely on structures that outlast the chaos of fortune. Dyson's patents, Carey's royalties, Lucas's licensing, Croc's franchising. None of these were mere brilliance. They were mechanisms. A single idea, once protected and positioned, becomes a tributary river, forever flowing toward its source. The artist who secures their rights does not sell a song. They carve cultural real estate. Every play, every stream, every whisper in the night echoes footsteps in their domain. Shakespeare, had he owned his words, would have rivaled kings. Today's creators who own their output have achieved what ancient rulers dreamed, converting talent into legacy. It is not about quick gold. It is about wealth immune to time and toil. The same truth multiplies online. A man builds a course, a toolkit, a simple PDF. He releases it once, and the internet becomes his emissary. He no longer stands on the street selling books. His ideas travel on their own. The Greeks called it logos, reason, word, eternal echo. Digital products are modern logos, built once, sold forever, untouched by fatigue. But here lies the trap that swallows most men. They consume endlessly and create rarely. They follow but never plant their own banner. Machiavelli would warn, the man who fails to raise his own standard will forever march under another's flag. If you do not build your own economy, you will forever serve in someone else's. To work without ownership is to fight without land. To labor without leverage is to live without legacy. Look again at the world. Crocs scaled not by managing every kitchen, but by designing a model others could replicate. Replication became multiplication. Machiavelli once advised rulers to install loyal governors to manage distant provinces. The governors held power. The prince received tribute. The same principle hides in franchising. One man works the grill, another owns the name. That is the distinction between work and rule. One sweats, the other collects. The same pattern repeats in every age, from Florence to Silicon Valley. The wise do not trade time. They trade design. They do not sell effort. They sell systems. This is the first law of sovereignty. The rest follows. When clarity finally arrives, it does not announce itself with thunder, but with silence. It enters like a general stepping into the war room before dawn, the map unrolled, the terrain already chosen. Victory, after all, is rarely born in the clash. It is conceived in preparation. The strategist knows this. The ruler knows this. The wise investor, the architect of empires, all understand that the ground is won before the first step is taken. What the crowd calls luck is often just foresight wearing armor. Timing is a weapon. So is courage. So is clarity. Machiavelli knew that a prince must anticipate rather than react, must move before the tremor becomes an earthquake. And in the realm of wealth, the same principle reigns. Fortune bends to those who position themselves early, who build when others sleep, who study the storm and lay the foundations of their fortress before the rain begins. Beneath all the systems, inventions, alliances, and enterprises lies one truth: the redirection of labor into leverage. Ownership is not the luxury of the idle. It is the mastery of the patient. When you own the mechanism, the design, or the channel, others toil, but you ascend. The engineer invents, the artist performs, the worker repeats, but the owner collects the tribute. The one who holds the gate receives the gold. That is the hidden order behind every empire, the unspoken rule of power. Control the structure, and you command the stream. Machiavelli once wrote that obedience can be compelled by force, law, or ownership. The wise choose ownership. It never tires, never complains, never ages. A wage must be renewed, but a royalty renews itself. A factory decays, but an idea can reign for centuries. Your task is not to chase every opportunity, but to recognize the pattern, the quiet architecture behind wealth and dominion. A patent is not merely a document. It is a fortress wall. A royalty is not merely payment. It is rent from conquered ground. A franchise is not a business. It is a miniature kingdom that multiplies your reach. One fortress well guarded can shield you for decades. One asset well constructed can echo beyond your lifetime. The difference between servant and sovereign is not brilliance, it is structure. The worker asks, "How much can I earn today?" The ruler asks, "What can I build that will earn long after I am gone?" The contrast is philosophical and architectural. The worker lives in moments. The ruler builds with eternity in mind. Even in politics, Machiavelli warned of mercenaries, soldiers of convenience who vanish when fortune turns. The same danger exists in commerce. Income built on effort alone fades when strength falters. But systems, rights, and relationships endure. When you own a system, time becomes your ally. The older you grow, the stronger it becomes. Every year, the gears turn smoother, the moat deepens, the fortress thickens its walls. The storms of recession, betrayal, or illness may come, but if your design is sound, your citadel stands unmoved. Modern builders are not gamblers. They are engineers of inevitability. They construct assets that function while they rest, mechanisms that hum in their absence. Ask yourself, are you building a fortress, or merely renting your labor to survive another day? The worker survives today. The builder endures for a century. The crowd fears complexity and calls it risk, but you, having seen the blueprint, know it is simply design. Every delay is a stone unlaid, a wall left open, a gate unguarded. The time to begin is now, not with grandeur but with precision. Write a guide, craft a small product, buy one share, license an idea, create a digital stream that flows even while you sleep. These are not dreams, they are foundations. Each act of creation is a declaration of sovereignty. And when panic grips the world, when markets tremble and comfort collapses, those who built in silence will stand behind their stone walls. They will not fear the storm. They will own the shelter. For wealth, true wealth, is not earned through struggle but secured through structure. To reverse labor into ownership is to write your own constitution of freedom. It is not complex, but it is demanding. Most will never begin, for the weight of comfort sedates them. But if you resist the drug of distraction, if you reject dependence and delay, you will rise above the masses by default. Success is not reserved for the chosen. It belongs to the disciplined. Machiavelli warned rulers to fortify before the enemy's arrival. In wealth, the enemies are time, fragility, and decay. If your survival depends on your presence, your power is borrowed. Build systems that persist without you, and time itself becomes your servant. This pursuit is not about greed, it is about liberation. It is about arranging your life so that you kneel to no instability, that you bow to no employer or crisis. Reflect on what endures. Patents preserve innovation. Royalties turn art into endless rivers. Digital products scale without cost. Trademarks convert words into monuments. Real estate makes the world labor in your name. Dividends pay for patience. Networks convert trust into currency. Each is a brick in the citadel of permanence. You do not need every tower. One stronghold is enough to shield a lifetime. The tragedy is not in starting small. It is in never starting at all. The man who claims it is too late has already surrendered. The one who begins, even with a seed, has already crossed into sovereignty. The wealthy are not superhuman. They simply learn to see the board. They hold the dice. They set the rules. They do not hustle. They orchestrate. They do not chase. They command. They do not measure time. They shape it. This is the unspoken law of the elite. To move from effort to design, from reaction to architecture. The goal is not speed, but stability. The wise ruler builds slowly, methodically, permanently. Even in power, Machiavelli warned that princes relying on luck or mercenaries would fall. Only those who built loyalty, structure, and permanence would survive the shifting tides of fate. Translate this wisdom into your life. If your income depends on presence, you are exposed. If it depends on ownership, you are untouchable. If you trade labor for coins, you return to the mine daily. But if you trade intellect for equity, you build a realm that produces while you rest. This is the quiet revolution, the transition from laborer to architect. The worker feeds the world once. The owner feeds it forever. The modern elite may not preach this truth, but their actions scream it. Bezos did not pack boxes. He built an empire that taxes the digital age. Jay-Z did not merely perform. He owned the stage, the masters, and the medium. Dynasties do not emerge by chance. They are engineered. They convert labor into legacy, sweat into structure, fleeting moments into inheritance. They think in centuries while others think in paychecks. You must now confront the question, are you constructing a citadel, or are you merely passing through the fields? Are your efforts planting seeds, or are they feeding the soil of another man's garden? The answer is never in ambition, it is in design. The road to sovereignty begins not with fortune, but with awareness. Not with millions, but with motion. Begin with one product, one page, one license, one share. Every empire starts with a wall and the will to raise it. Every ruler begins by saying, "This is mine, and it will serve me." Machiavelli taught that power belongs to those who act before others awaken. So act while the world sleeps. Construct when others consume. Build what others borrow. Because in the end, freedom is not found in rebellion, but in design. The man who owns his time owns his life. The one who builds permanence builds peace. Wealth, in its purest form, is not measured in gold, but in the quiet assurance that tomorrow owes you nothing. And when the final silence falls, when the noise of ambition fades and only the results remain, you will stand in stillness, not chasing, not fearing, but watching the world move to the rhythm of systems you once built. That is sovereignty. That is the peace of the ruler who understood the pattern, acted before the storm, and built something that even time itself must serve.